When I don't have all the fancy lights, you can see my large pores, my sebaceous filaments, basically the anatomy of my skin that holds oil and grease and can turn colors like brown or amber. Now, this is something that used to really bother me. I used to be really insecure about like my nose and of course my acne and my back and my chest and my pores. And I've learned to embrace my skin, but there are still things about these areas of my body or my large pores that I don't like. But the good news is that there are also things and ingredients that have been medically proven to help treat or hide those. And we're going to speak about those differences today. There are specifically 2 new products that have gotten on the market that I've tested out, and I feel like these blur the lines between skincare and makeup. For example, these are pore minimizers that minimize the look and feel of pores, but actually have ingredients to work out over time. Some of these did work for me and some of them did not, and so we're gonna talk about it. I don't know if I'm actually gonna talk or I'm going to squawk, because I know that sometimes I sound quite foul. But hey, it is what it is. Birds of a feather flock together, am I right? Before we talk about pore perfectors, we gotta talk about them pores, baby. And I'm not talking about me after I've spent all of my money at Sephora or Ulta. I am talking about the pilosebaceous units that are a part of our faces. This is specifically a diagram of the anatomy of your skin, baby, and my skin. And I mean, if you're a human, then skin. As you know, we have the epidermis, the top 5 layers of the skin, and then the deeper dermis, those large, thick layers that have collagen and elastin down here. But as you know, we have these hairs that stick out of our face and our entire bodies. They come out of the pilosebaceous unit, or this large pore. Now, as you can see, this pore goes really deep down. It gets nutrients here from the dermis and it grows and protrudes out. But when we're looking at the skin from the top down, this is all we see. The hairs, the stratum corneum, which is that top layer of the skin, and then maybe any oil or dirt or makeup or sunscreen or skincare that we have on top. Now, when we are looking at the top of this, these are some tiny pores. For example, I can see the hairs, but I can't see the pores. But when you look at my face, you can literally see those tiny little clear or white vellus hairs, and then you can see the gunk that's inside of them. If the gunk is black or really dark brown, that's what's called a blackhead. It's a type of acne, an open comedone. But when they look a lot like mine do, these are basically called sebaceous filaments, or you can also call them open pores. They are large pores that are a little bit dilated on the face, and they can hold this ambered color or clear gunk, which is basically oil and dead skin cells and the gunk that's on our face. Now, a dermatologist's and a medical SD's pet peeve is when people say that you can open or close your pores or you can shrink them. There are ways to minimize the look and appearance, and there are ways using thermodynamics and the heat of your skin or the products that you apply to kind of temporarily tighten things, but your pores don't breathe, they don't have lungs and alveolar sacs, okay? And then number 2, you really can't open or close them. There's no muscle around the outside of the pore that causes them to open or close. There is a little erector pili muscle right down here. This is a super tiny muscle, and this actually is what causes your skin to have goosebumps when your hairs stand up straight. That's what this muscle does. But this muscle really has no control over how large the pore is from the top down. So when we're looking at these pores top down, what are we going to do if we don't want them to be as visible or as large? There are a lot of things, specifically skincare ingredients, that can help. You know that some of my favorites are salicylic acid and niacinamide. Salicylic acid is meant to help with acne because salicylic acid, aka BHA, is oil soluble. It can actually use the oil in your skin and climb down into this little pore to kill acne bacteria. It also exfoliates those top layers of the skin. This is really helpful because if the BHA or salicylic acid can get rid of the oil that's stuck in the pores up here, it can help get rid of them and then make those pores look less apparent and smaller. Now, there's also niacinamide, which we frickin' love. And niacinamide is awesome because yes, it's our vitamin B3, but niacinamide also helps to regulate oil production. So basically going into this little sebaceous gland and saying, hey, you oil producing gland, I don't want you to do your job anymore. Take a vacation, take a break, and stop it, okay? The niacinamide can help to regulate that oil production. Now, in people who underproduce oil, there are a few studies showing that this can actually help stimulate that. But what's great about niacinamide is that because it is a B vitamin, it works with your skin. And as a bonus, it can also help with redness and discoloration. Niacinamide doesn't stop your skin from producing pigment, but it stops it from spreading. It says, nah, man, you stay put to those little spots of pigment that are created deep in the skin. Specifically, the pigment is called melanin, and niacinamide just doesn't let it spread. And this is fantastic for people who do struggle with pigmentation, specifically in certain areas like after a blemish. And of course, it's great for those with large pores. Now, while niacinamide and salicylic acid and ingredients like this are great overall for the skin, how do we minimize the look of pores almost instantly? If anything is claiming instant results, it's either makeup or Photoshop. And that's why I feel like some of these new products that I've tried and tested out kind of bridge the gap between makeup and skincare. These are are skincare products, but they're kind of makeup when you look at how they actually work. And then I have one product that's a tried and true in my routine. I've been using this for 2 or 3 years on and off now, but this is a vitamin C skincare product that I find gives my skin the look of blurred pores because of how it works. So let's talk about these. This is the Glow Recipe Strawberry Pore-Smooth Blur Drops Serum, and this was so interesting when I first tried it. When I first tried it, I wasn't sold on it, and honestly, Glow Recipe usually has the cutest packaging, and I was like, this isn't a strawberry-shaped bottle, I'm disappointed! Just because they've spoiled us with those little glass bottles in the past. But as I've used this a little bit more and more, specifically on like half of my face, I was really impressed by the way this does cut down on oil. Now this does have helpful skincare ingredients in here, again, like that salicylic acid and like that strawberry, but this also has very interesting ingredients that actually help to get rid of oil. So if you have these large pores that are basically big and filled with this clear oil or clear gunk, this actually helps to cut down on the grease. It really does make my skin feel super smooth, and it's because it's got some of these drying ingredients, including those that are corn-based. Now, if you have dry skin, this is not going to be for you. But if you want something that's really lightweight, it almost feels like a primer, but it blurs the look of pores instantly, this does that. And then the salicylic acid can help work over time. Now, again, this is one of those things where it's kind of in between skincare and makeup. It's almost like an oil reducing primer because of the way it's kind of sucking out the oil from those pores and kind of priming the skin for what you're going to put on next. But then it has ingredients that do help to work over time. This one launched this year, and again, when I first tried it, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And then when I actually tried it on half of my face throughout the entire day, I was like, oh she's doing something. Like, she's a tiny little superhero that fits in my pocket. Like fun size M&Ms, you're like, why do I want the fun size? That's not fun, I want the big size. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I can sneak the fun size M&Ms into my pocket, into the movie theater. Yeah, this is fun size M&M. This is the skincare equivalent in my opinion. It doesn't seem that exciting, and then when I actually started using it, I was like, oh yeah, we could be friends. This is another one that I was super excited about and then disappointed by, and now I can kind of see when and where it'll be a fit. This is from Peace Out Skincare. They are amazing. They are not only skincare, but they're also an LGBTQ+ brand, so they actually donate to causes beyond skincare, which I personally find amazing from a perspective of activism. But this right here is basically a pore smoothing primer, in my opinion. Now, it does have ingredients like hyaluronic acid and niacinamide, which remember can help to regulate oil production and also reduce the look of pores almost immediately, not totally, but almost. Has mushroom extract, but the whole thing about this is that it's actually kind of like a paste. And this is a paste with a little bit of color. And you're probably thinking, Cassandra, look at that. It looks like worm poop. I hope you're not thinking that. I have been gardening. Can you believe I've been f***ing gardening? I bought a purple rose is a flower. Anyways, I'm a f***ing gardener and I now know what worm poop looks like, even though I killed the plant. I still tried, okay? Well, I hope you're looking at this and you're just like, Cassandra, this doesn't look like skincare. Why is it pasty and colored? Exactly. This is basically a makeup primer that happens to have niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, etc. So even though they call it a Peace Out Instant Pore Perfector, it really reminds me of the Smashbox Anti-Shine Primer that I used to use like 15 years ago. They've discontinued it, but I had a viral video that was absolutely terrible. I filmed it in my parents' living room while sitting on the floor, and I used my hands to just smear foundation all over my face and cover my acne after I would cry in the mirror every morning. And I know I say it laughing, but laughing is like my form of dealing with awkward situations. And yes, the way I felt about my acne for the majority of my life still makes me feel awkward sometimes. I'm gonna say it as it is. Well, I used to use this Smashbox Anti-Shine Primer, and it was a skin primer that really was pasty, kind of just like this, but it helped to decrease oil. This is basically a newer and better version of that because it has skincare ingredients. And when I realized that, I was like, holy f***, this is an elevated replacement for that primer that Smashbox discontinued. And when I first tried this, I really hated it because I was expecting skincare and I got a pasty primer. But then when I look at this as a blend between skincare and makeup, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the pasty primer with skincare benefits that I've been looking for. Look at how that instantly helps to cover redness. Now, the benefits don't last when you wipe it off because the redness reduction goes away. The niacinamide in here could help with the redness over time. That is something that it does claim to do and that the ingredients back up, especially because this has a coffee extract and zinc PCA. Coffee or caffeine can vasoconstrict, so helping with like redness in the face, and zinc PCA can also help with oil control. So I love it if I see it as a primer. And I know that some of those redness reduction benefits are going to wash away when I rinse this off my face. But if I'm using this as a primer, or even if I'm using this without makeup on underneath, and I just understand that this is skincare plus coverage in the same product, I'm like, oh, You can get on my face every day. You can sit on top of my sunscreen. This works. This works for me temporarily when I put it on, and this can work for me into the future. And if you notice one thing about both of these products versus something like just a salicylic acid or niacinamide serum, these niacinamide salicylic acid serums are really liquidy, right? These products that claim to be pore perfectors are a little bit thicker. They have ingredients like corn or ingredients that will wick away the oil. And these are a little bit more pasty. And that's when I realized, holy f***, this is why I love the BeYoutiful vitamin C capsules. These are some of my favorite vitamin C capsules. They are bougie, but without the bougie price. They're like $85 if you don't have the BeYoutiful subscription, but BeYoutiful, it's basically like Costco for skincare. And if you have the Costco subscription, you can get these for under 20 bucks. And I don't know how. They are in this adorable little glass package, and these are actually made in some of the same luxury laboratories that brands like La Mer or Lancome or Estee Lauder are made in. And BeYoutiful basically takes the same ingredients, the same labs, and the same manufacturers, but takes away the fermented LED skincare dead lab physicist that we talked through a Ouija board with story and doesn't charge you $400 for them. This is fantastic because these are the vitamin C capsules, and as you know, vitamin C is a tyrosinase inhibitor. It's an amazing antioxidant that can boost up your sunscreen, and it's just a fantastic ingredient overall. Well, these BeYoutiful capsules come in these little biodegradable, what is this, balloon? It's not a balloon, it's a container, it's a capsule, duh. Gosh, Cassandra, read the bottle. Anyways, these little capsules are fantastic and so fun to apply if you love pimple popping. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. Ah, so satisfying. And then this biodegrades in your sink. Now, if you'll notice, this has a somewhat similar texture to these two products. It's a little bit thicker. The difference is that this almost had some form of color correction in it, whereas this one is clear. And I have loved this for so long because when you apply this vitamin skin to the sea, when you apply this vitamin C to the skin is what I meant to say, you notice that it feels so freaking silky. This is one of my favorite vitamin C's to apply. Yes, because of the price, and yes, because of the fun little capsule experience, but also this just feels so freaking silky on my skin. And I've always noticed that when I put this on, it just makes my acne scars look less apparent. It makes my pores look blurred. There are silicone-based ingredients in here that actually smooth over the skin. And remember, silicones are what we find in great foundations and great primers. We also find silicone in emergency medicine for wound healing. Most of the best scar creams out there are silicone based. A lot of people are afraid of silicones, thinking that it'll break them out. Medical science doesn't say that. All right, you can read as many random blogs, or you could watch those horrible skincare TikTok videos all you want, but silicones have been really great for scars, for wounds, and yes, even for acne. Of course, every person is going to be different, but I operate under the premise of don't be afraid of silicones, especially because they can make products so cosmetically elegant, and we don't have any solid proof showing that they break people out. Of course, if you're worried about that, feel free to avoid them, but I love the silicone in this product, and I love the way it goes onto my skin. But as you can see, even though this vitamin C doesn't claim to be a pore perfector, you see how it smooths over my acne scars? It kind of helps even out my texture and my bumps. This is an amazing vitamin C that can be used under sunscreen for anti-pigmentary and antioxidant benefits, and it's literally just smoothing over this top layer of the skin, kind of providing like a blur, almost like an in-person skincare filter that really just sits on top, smooths things over, and makes my bumps look less apparent. While these are brand new, this has been in my routine for ages, and these are just like instant pore perfectors that allow me to feel amazing and minimize the look of my pores and my large sebaceous filaments without wearing makeup. And I feel like, especially this one from Peace Out, it really blurs the lines of makeup and skincare. There are actually some other products that have been coming out that kind of blur the lines between like foundation and skincare, or sunscreen and foundation. If you want a video on those, let me know. But for now, if you want to read the ingredients, I've listed them here. They're also in the description. And remember to turn and learn your ingredients so you can actually understand how things work. Instead of looking at the front and being like, oh, is it gonna minimize my pores? Turn and learn. Look for those ingredients like salicylic acid, like niacinamide, and start understanding the chemistry of these and how that chemistry can actually work with your biology to make you look and feel your best, which also includes feeling empowered by the products that we use every day, and using products that actually care about other people, or that donate to good causes, or that help us get luxury on a budget, or that come in recycled packaging. You know, as consumers, we have so many choices, and it's like, I'm not gonna choose something unless it matches my morals and values. Okay, okay. Always remember to stay hydrated, both orally and topically. Reapply that SPF. If you're using these, I'd recommend applying your sunscreen over these two, but under this one. And always remember to be beautiful both inside and out. Me and my little corneocytes and keratinocytes and sebaceous filaments love you. Don't forget it, and we will see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.